In triple overtime. In motion, the tight end right to left. Sharply pulls away, hands it to Travis Thomas. Runs it right side. He'll be stopped! And so will a 43-game losing streak for Navy against Notre Dame. 4 decades plus of frustration and futility, of lopsided losses and narrow defeats for the midshipmen. All are forgotten on a 2-point conversion run by Travis Thomas, stuffed in the backfield by the midshipmen.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special sports test with Chris Heidel here on a Wednesday night. I'm Chris Heidel here on the 3rd of November doing a special house cleaning show, cleaning up stuff that we didn't do last night. Thanks for folks for tuning in to last night's show. We had a great time. Yes, this weekend, Navy and Notre Dame are playing each other for the first time in 2 years because due to last year's pandemic, they were supposed to go to Ireland but never made a trip over there because of the pandemic. So we're going to talk Navy football with Scott Wyckoff from WBAL Radio, and he's also the pre- and post-game host as well. So we'll talk to him about this big game for Navy, who basically will be taking on a very good Irish team. And then Luke Delazio, who is the Fayetteville State Broncos men's basketball coach, will join us at 7:15. So let's bring in the hardworking man who does everything. He's up early before we are. I was up early probably the same time he was this morning. So Scott Wyckoff, who have you ever gone home yet?
I went home briefly today, but then I had to head out to Navy practice, getting ready for the Fighting Irish. It was interesting. One thing that I don't know a lot of people know is that all week long when Navy's preparing for Notre Dame, they blare the Notre Dame fight song throughout practice.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
All practice long on the banks of the Severn River in Annapolis, they're blasting it. And they also mix in a little Dropkick Murphys, too, shipping off to Boston. So it was pretty interesting. But it was another spirited practice today. The midshipmen coming off a win last week against Tulsa on the road, feeling pretty good about themselves with the fact that in the last couple games against Tulsa, and then, of course, a one-possession game against the nation's number 6 team, Cincinnati, the week before that, they really played the triple option well. They ran the ball, they had long possessions, and they really feel that if they do that against Notre Dame, that they'll have a good chance to maybe keep it a one-possession game.
Yeah, they haven't played each other since 2019 because last year was supposed to be that trip to Ireland. It never happened because of the pandemic. So it's really interesting. All these rivalry games are getting back to normal this year.
Yeah, it was the longest consecutive intersectional rivalry in the nation. 93 consecutive games, year after year after year, Navy and Notre Dame. And it ended last year because of the COVID. Originally, last year's game was going to be played in Dublin, Ireland. Then they moved it to Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium. But then when the ACC, the conference that Notre Dame played in last year, decided that they would only play conference games, wouldn't let their teams play out of conference, they had to drop the game, and then Navy picked up BYU instead. But it was a disappointment. I mean, this series really dates back a long time. Back in the day, there was a time when Notre Dame was going to have to close because of the war, and they didn't have enough students on campus, and they didn't have enough enrollment. And the Naval Academy and the United States Navy came to their assistance and basically moved the Naval Academy to Notre Dame to keep them open. And a large reason for this series continuing on for 93 consecutive years is the fact that Notre Dame really owes their existence to the Naval Academy and the United States Navy, and they've been very loyal to that. So I know they're very happy that this game will be played on Saturday again in South Bend.
Yeah, and also this is hard for Notre Dame because when you have the option going. So if you're a team that doesn't have a bye week before you play Navy, you're all messed up for like basically a week and a half because you're trying to figure out, you got to get your people in your organization knows how to run the option. You got to get your scout team ready to go, and I feel like teams that play Navy needs to have a bye before they play Navy because you got to get used to the option. Because I know. Somebody, I don't know if Brian Kelly was asked this week or anything, but I feel like somebody's going to ask it tomorrow. are you going to be messed up a week later when you have to play Virginia down in Charlottesville? Because you're going to be like, what happened here? You know?
Well, yeah, because last week they played a spread offense, Sam Howell in North Carolina. We talked to Coach Kelly about that during his Monday press conference, and he said, he went on for about 6 minutes, says it is very difficult. He's coached against Navy in the series 10 times already, and he's kept a book on Navy. And he says even in the spring and summer when they have practices, they spend a little time preparing for Navy. So, yeah, he says it's very difficult, but you have to do it. And he also has lost 2 games to the midshipmen over the last few years. So he knows that they can be very powerful and very devastating with this triple option.
Yeah, Navy's playing the 3rd toughest schedule of the season, for this year, and it's been like a really hard for them. They've been they're doing the best they can in the American. And you had to play Cincinnati. You had Cincinnati on the ropes, literally on the ropes, and you couldn't knock them out. And now you got to take on a Notre Dame squad that's basically 1 loss to Cincinnati. So it's pretty funny. Those 2 are playing each other. Now it's like, who's going to knock out who?
And it was really the murderer's row of the American Athletic Conference. It started with Houston. Then it went to Memphis, then to UCF, then to Cincinnati, and then to Tulsa. Those were 5 of the top 6 teams in the preseason poll for the American, and Navy played them back to back to back to back, and ends up coming out of that run with 2 wins. They beat UCF, and they beat Tulsa. So now with 4 games to go, Navy needs to run the table to be bowl eligible, and that starts in South Bend on Saturday against Notre Dame.
Yeah. Well, I think Navy needs to control the Notre Dame running game because Williams is a very good running back. Last week, he took one off for 91 yards. I think they put the Spanish broadcaster in behind it. Trying to be a little funny with it, but he's a good running back. So what does Navy got to do to control him at the line of scrimmage? Because I think that might open up the passing game for Notre Dame to actually throw the ball. But I know the Jack has been shaky a little bit the last couple of weeks. The quarterback.
A big thing for Navy is that their defensive line. They start 2 freshmen, Daniel Bernyard, the nose guard, and the defensive end, Busick. And they're both freshmen, and they've played very well. But what they need to do is they need to hold their blocks and be able to get the Bronco Nagurski finalist in there at linebacker, Diego Fago for Navy, to free him up. When he's untouched, and Brian Kelly talked about this during his press conference in South Bend earlier in the week, he says when Diego Fago is clean, that means he's able to be free from blocks, that he is one of the best, if not the best, Mike linebacker in all of college football. So that means a lot coming from the head coach of Notre Dame.
Yeah. Let's talk about some local news in sports. Tom Mandy passed away today at age 82. Did you ever run into the gentleman, when, doing some of the Raven stuff, some BAL stuff? Did you get a chance to meet him?
Oh, sure. Spent a lot of time with Tom Mandy. We used to sometimes sit together in the meal room, the cafeteria at M&T Bank Stadium before Ravens games at halftime. And both he and I grew up in Cleveland. I grew up in Cleveland Heights, and Tom Mandy grew up in the actual city of Cleveland. He went to Shaw High School before his great career with the Colts, and then became a broadcaster for the Ravens after his career with the Colts was over. But he stayed in Baltimore. He was with Scott Garceau on the broadcast for so many years, and he did a lot of TV and did a lot of shows and did a lot of charity work, and he made Baltimore his home. Interesting that he went to high school at Shaw High School in Cleveland with John Harbaugh's mother. And the Harbaughs and the Maddies have been best friends literally since high school. And today, wow. I know John Harbaugh passed along his condolences to the Maddie family. Tom Maddie, one of those guys who is a great player, but even a better guy. And he really knew how to keep it real, and he will be missed.
Yeah, he'll be missed. And I remember him doing CFL games with Scott Garceau too, so he had some, he did the NFL and CFL, and, and he and Jim Spiros, he helped Spiros get the CFL team here. And, I think everybody needs to, say thank you to the Maddie family.
They do. And Tom meant a lot to Baltimore. And he was one of the first to disown the Colts when they moved to Indianapolis. And people really loved that. And he did a lot of charity work. he was the type of guy that was always available. I have a friend, Mike Pons from Country Life Farm, a thoroughbred breeding farm in Bel Air, Maryland. And he said, Tom Maddie's Preakness tickets were always right in front of the Country Life Farm tickets. And he said, without fail, throughout Preakness Day, just a steady flow of people would come up to Tom Maddie to get his autograph or a picture taken with him. And he signed every autograph, and he took every picture, and just a great guy.
Yeah, I met him a couple times at the Ed Black Herds Awards, and when I was working at the commercial state, the public radio station up in Hartford County, I got him to sign a football to give away on one of our charity things, and he was like, "Sure, no problem, anything you need." I'm like, he was so very nice, and genuine, and like a good person to sit down and have a conversation with, even if he had something in the other hand, like a nice martini, But it's still good, But so what's going on in the morning show tomorrow? I know you were doing a lot of stuff early this morning, like I was working this morning early. So what's the plan for tomorrow?
Well, I think tomorrow morning we'll probably be doing a story on the COVID-19 vaccine for the 5 to 11-year-olds that is rolling out. I think the first kids are getting their shots in their arms either tomorrow or Friday in the Baltimore area. But there's also concern because there's a real supply chain problem with getting the vaccine out. Apparently, there's all sorts of vaccine in storage right now, but they're having troubles getting it out. So we'll be covering that. And of course, the Ravens back on the practice field today, getting ready for their game on Sunday against the Vikings. And of course, tomorrow night on WBAL Radio, I'll be hosting the Navy Insiders Show from 7 to 8 o'clock. We'll talk to Ken Niumatalolo. We'll talk to Brian Kelly, head coach of Notre Dame. We'll also sit down with Pete Medhurst, the voice of the midshipmen, Keith Mills, my colleague, who's the sideline reporter, and also a great interview with Chance Warren, who is the slot back, one of the co-captains for the Naval Academy. Just an unbelievable young man. What his outlook on life and leadership in the Naval Academy and service to his country. That's all going to be a part of the show tomorrow night, 7 o'clock on WBAL News Radio 1090 and FM 101.5.
That's cool. And then Saturday afternoon, 2:30 is the pregame show, or 2:45?
2:30, the pregame show. And then actually 2 o'clock, I'm going to do a local half-hour show on WBAL. Okay. Then our radio network for the Naval Academy, our pregame show starts at 2:30. And then kickoff is a little bit later than 3:30. Kickoff is actually around 3:44. So it'll be an extended pregame show. And it's always great. I know Pete Medhurst says it's just unbelievable broadcasting from the Cathedral of Football, Notre Dame Stadium. And he says it's always a pleasure. It's always an honor. And it's always very exciting. And also we're going to have a flashback to 2007 when Navy snapped that 43-game losing streak to the Fighting Irish on a triple overtime game when they kept the Notre Dame out of the end zone on a 2-point conversion. And they snapped the 43-game losing streak, what was the longest consecutive game losing streak in college football to one school.
Well, I think you read my mind. I have it right here. Hold on 1 second.
Triple overtime. In motion, the tight end right to left. Sharply pulls away, hands it to Travis Thomas. Runs it right side. He'll be stopped. And so will a 43-game losing streak for Navy against Notre Dame. 4 decades plus of frustration and futility, of lopsided losses and narrow defeats for the midshipmen. All are forgotten on a 2-point conversion run.
At quarterback, the great Naval Academy quarterback and Hall of Famer for the Dallas Cowboys. So it was quite a game there, and they won it on the road at Notre Dame Stadium. So that even made it, that kind of put the nail in the coffin for Charlie Weiss, I think, as head coach. I think they finished up that year 1-8, and then he was gone. The next year, Paul Johnson went to Georgia Tech, left Navy, went to Georgia Tech to be head coach, and then it was Ken Niumatalolo who took over. He was his top assistant and has now been head coach for 14 years.
Wow. I remember that game because I was up in Newark, Delaware, where I just went to a Delaware football game, and I brought my buddy with me to the game, and he's like, oh, I'm over at my aunt's house, and he's watching the game, and he's going berserk in the dining room because he's a Notre Dame guy. I'm like, dude, calm down. my cousin came up to me and goes, is he okay? I'm like, I think he's okay. Why? He's going nuts in my dining room. I'm like, yeah, let him be. Okay, let him be.
Well, it's amazing. I mean, Notre Dame, they're a national brand. They have fans all over the United States, all over the world. I grew up in Cleveland, and they were as popular in Cleveland as was Ohio State.
Wow.
Just to give you a sense of their fan base and the fandom for Notre Dame in the city of Cleveland, as many Notre Dame fans as there were Ohio State fans.
That's cool. Well, Scott, thanks so much for coming on. I know you enjoy coming on this program, and enjoy the rest of your week, and hope to see you at a Maryland game down the road.
You bet. And then if not, we'll see you at the Preakness.
Hopefully I'll be there. That'll be cool.
All right. Take it easy.
Be careful. Be safe.
Right. Bye-bye.
See you. All right, that's our good friend Scott Wyckoff, a friend of our show, and enjoys coming on here on occasionally talk Navy football and other good sports as well, and horse racing. We'll talk to him probably again in the springtime. It's 7:15. Let's bring in the head coach of Fayetteville State. The Broncos rolling into College Park this weekend, this Friday for the next game against the Terrapins. So, Coach, thanks for joining us. How's everything there in Fayetteville, North Carolina?
Chris, thank you for having me on the show. Everything's well in Fayetteville. The only thing is the cold is coming. I think I'm up north already. It's supposed to be a freezing warning tonight, which is unbelievable because normally it's like in the high 60s, low 70s. But I'm getting used to coming back up north, I guess.
Yeah. Well, talk about this exhibition game against the Terrapins. This is not the first time you played against them in an exhibition game. A couple of years ago, you did before the pandemic. I think it was like 2019. You guys played them. So, what did you learn from that game that you might help out to carry over to Friday night at 7?
The biggest thing is, they have NBA type talent with a long athletic team that they are. Even their guards are really big and athletic. The biggest thing is, just trying to rebound against them and also keep them out of transition because they scored a lot of easy baskets and try not to turn over the ball. The game, I think it was like a 1-2 point game, like 7-8 minutes into the game, and then they pressed us a little bit, and then we turned over the ball, and you can't have live turnovers against them because it's just too dangerous. So, I appreciate coming up there because, it's my family area up there. I lived there for 30 years, so wow. I'm just glad that Coach Turgeon decided that, it was worthwhile doing it again, which I'm very happy about.
Yeah, they're bringing back fans for the first time in 600 whatever days, so it's going to be a little noisier than it used to be. Like last year with nobody there, it was like completely silent. And you probably have the same thing at your court. You're like, where is everybody? Oh, it's a cardboard cutout right there.
Our conference last year decided not to play a season, so we didn't have a season. Like we thought we were going to have a season 3 or 4 different times, and they kept canceling. Then they canceled the CIAA tournament. So that was kind of tough for us and our players, but at least we got an extra year. And then I had a scrimmage Monday night against Barton College, and my voice was hoarse the next day for the first time in a long time because they actually had fans in the stands with the students and rowdy and stuff, and I wasn't used to that. But I'm looking forward to it, though.
Nice. That's cool. Well, talk about the CIAA. You guys play in the same conference at Bowie State University down in Bowie. So you guys have a good little rivalry going with you against the Bulldogs.
Yeah, it's probably the best Division II conference in the country. A lot of NBA players came from the conference. A lot of tradition. The CIAA tournament is in Baltimore this year at the Holly Farms. I think it's the ball. I'm used to calling it Baltimore Arena. And, so I'm looking forward to coming up north. It's first time ever they signed a 3-year contract, and that's tremendous. And we're looking forward to coming up there. But, it was tough not playing, but we're happy to be playing again.
Yeah, it's good to get back to something, somewhat normal. It's not the normal that we know a couple of years ago, but it's somewhat normal when you have games and, hopefully you don't have anybody test positive for COVID-19, and then that ruins everything for the week or the couple of days.
Yeah.
What is your protocol for that? Because I know in different conferences, I've been covering like the Big Ten and the ACC. They have to do like testing here, testing there. What do you guys have to do before you get?
All our players and our staff and coaches have all been vaccinated. Matter of fact, I got my booster shot 2 weeks ago, so I was happy to get that. We tested on Sunday. We tested this morning. So, we're going to try to test 2-3 times a week. I'm real caution of it because even last year doing pandemic and stuff, we did small workouts with small groups I didn't do large groups, so I'm very conscious about keeping our players and myself and the staff healthy and not get sick. And also the same thing with the teams that we play against. So we're really cautious about it, and I know how important it is to be healthy because it could change your season.
It can, and also could actually postpone most of the season because if you have more outbreaks, you got to
Yes.
push back for a couple of weeks, and then you got to find a way to get that game rescheduled and all that stuff. It gets annoying after a while.
For sure.
Yeah. So I just was looking at your bio. You coached at Bowie State. So what was it like coaching down there? Because at the time, your facilities are getting better now. I went by there a month ago. I was like, whoa! I was like, man, new buildings here. What's going on here? Yeah.
Well, when I first got the job at Bowie State, the team 30-year drought of not having a 500 record, and I was a part-time coach for my first 2 years. So the program grew. We ended up winning the CIAA tournament. We went to the Final Four. We coached like 4 or 5 All-Americans. And back then, the president, Dr. Lowe, it was a 10-year plan of building new facilities and making the school like a top-notch, school in Maryland, because there's not too many schools that can grow in Maryland, because they're already pretty much expanded to the fullest. So every year they do something. They did a drama. They did a student union center. They actually put air conditioning in the gym 2 years ago. I've had many of hot, sweaty days in the summer. They have no air conditioning in the gym and in my office. I was like dying. And then they said they had air conditioning in there. So, it's a great institution. It's growing all the time, and a lot of respect for the people over there.
That's cool. That's great that you actually have AC and you're the one who
Yes.
the air conditioning, buddy. Come on now.
Yes, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So let's talk about your season. What is your goals for your season for your kids? Because I know you haven't seen them play in a meaningless game in 2 years.
2 years. We have a very talented group. We took a little hard hit about 2-3 weeks ago. Our starting point guard tore his ACL, and so we're trying to deal with that. But we were projected to come in first place in our conference. 2 years ago we lost in a final championship game by 1 point. We blew a big lead down the stretch. So we have high expectations. We don't make excuses for anything. So the one thing that we will do is play hard, be well prepared, and do the best we can, represent our school very well.
That's cool. Well, I hope to I'll see you Friday night because I'm actually going to make a trip down to College Park to watch you guys play against Maryland. So it'll be cool to watch you guys play.
Oh, okay, that'd be great. You could be the one fan in the stands, maybe rooting for us for 5 minutes. But I'm looking forward to it because I hear it's going to be a big crowd.
Yeah, but it's funny when it's like when you see these little schools playing against big schools, and it's like and they let them score 14 points and they have a lead, and you make you feel so good, and all of a sudden they're like, okay, game over.
Yeah, I mean, I have no disillusion. I'm happy that they're playing us. We get a little money out of it, and I just want to be competitive for a period of time, and we're trying to work on some stuff, But it's great for our program, great for our kids.
Yeah, I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you win, what are you going to do? That's the question. If you beat Maryland it's an exhibition game.
I guess I'll go to, I don't know, maybe that'll be kind of crazy. I'm not expecting that, honestly, but it'll be, it'll be unbelievable, to tell you truthfully. So I can't even comprehend that. I just want to make it competitive as long as we can. If we can give them a really good half and make them, really have to really play against us and defend us, and, that's all I want.
Yeah. Hey, Syracuse a couple years ago in an exhibition game lost to Lamont College up there.
For sure.
So it could happen.
Yeah, I mean, we have we have 6 Division I players on our team. So we have 3 local kids that on the team. One played at O'Connell High School, and another one played at Douglas High School, and another one played at Bishop McNamara. So we have some local ties up there, and we'll do okay.
Nice. Well, Coach, I will let you go. I know you have to be plan for your trip up here on Friday. Good luck, and we'll see you Friday evening.
Chris, thank you. Appreciate you having me on the show. You take care of yourself.
See you soon.
Okay.
All right, bye.
You too.
All right, folks. That's the head coach of Fayetteville State Broncos, Coach Luke D'Azio, who joined us on the show here. Him and his Broncos are going to head up to College Park this coming Friday night. If you want to go there to College Park, it is a free. It's probably you could buy tickets, but it's an exhibition game. So if you want to see your Terps play Friday night, against let's play the clip here against these guys, Fayetteville State, the Broncos. go up there. Or if you want to watch it on BTN, it's going to be on Student U. If you want to tune in to watch it, on Friday night at 7. So, folks, thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Chris Heidel. We're just doing our special Wednesday. Normally, we're on Wednesday nights, but we moved it to Tuesday due to the college football playoff and all that stuff. So we try to get, we're finishing up stuff that we could have put on the show last night. So we're waiting for it right now at the top of the here at 7:25 in 5 minutes. We're waiting for Scott Wright. He is the writer for the beat writer for the Oklahoma State Cowboys. They're going to be rolling into Morgantown this weekend to take on the West Virginia Mountaineers. He writes for the Oklahoman. And then Dwight Wallace, one of the radio analysts for the Mountaineers Radio Network, will talk Mountaineers football. They had a seesaw battle between Iowa State last week, but they pulled it out at the end. So they're 4-4 on the year. And then coming up at the top of the hour at 8 o'clock, we will have always a friend of this, always we enjoy having him on the program, the head coach at Bowie State football, Coach Wilson. Damon Wilson will join us. The Bulldogs are in the CIA championship game after clinching the division last week. And then Shannon Polonsky, who won the PBA Tour Championship this past Sunday on Halloween. She got it wasn't a trick or treat. She got a treat for winning that broadcast. She won on Saturday. Excuse me, on Sunday on CBS Sports Network with our good friend Dave Ryan having a call on the broadcast. So we're just trying to get everything all organized here. So, folks, thanks for joining us here. We'll be back next Tuesday night. We'll be on the air. We'll be doing something. We'll preview the Florida State Miami game this next weekend. That's a rivalry game. So, if you would love to listen to rivalries, you'll enjoy that next week. And then we'll also try to, with Tom Mandy passing away today, we will try to do something nice for the folks here in Baltimore. Trying to get some of the people who knew Tom Mandy personally and professionally. So we'll try to see if we can do that as well. So, folks, we had some stuff last night that we were going to talk about on the program. Did you hear that? This is a crazy story we heard out of the folks at PETA is looking to. Let's see if I can show it. PETA is looking to Major League Baseball to change the name of bullpen to armband because it's insensitive to cows. So here is a bullpen. Okay, I found this on Facebook, on YouTube. It's Chris Sale of the Red Sox warming up in the bullpen. Okay, there's nothing wrong with the word bullpen, people. Seriously. And it's just, it's getting to the point like everybody wants to change everything to make it more politically correct. But this thing's been around. The bullpen's been around for years on stuff like this. So that's a crazy story we heard this past week. So, and then we look at what's going on here. Yeah. So, the World Series was over last night. The Braves beat the Houston Astros 7-0 to win the World Series. And don't forget, I think on November 4th, tomorrow, get a free taco at Taco Bell because of the free because of stolen base during the World Series. So anybody wants a free taco, go to Taco Bell. So it's 7:29 here on the program, and let's bring in Scott Wright, who writes for the Oklahoma State. He's one of the writers for the Cowboys. Scott, thanks for coming on tonight. How are you this evening?
Hey, Chris, I'm doing well. How are you?
Not bad. How's the weather there in Oklahoma? Is it still warm?
No, it is chilly and rainy today, actually.
Oh, yeah, it's pretty 50 degrees here in Baltimore, so it's like, ugh,
Yeah.
Not getting used to this fall weather. It's going to take a while. So the Cowboys are speaking of the Cowboys. They're in the college football playoff right now as the number 11, number 11 in the college football playoff. What's your take on that?
I was a little surprised. I thought that the fact that they played so many close games against teams that are even a notch below them, reputation-wise, I thought they might be a few spots lower than that. I was expecting them more in the 14 to 15 range. So shows me that the committee has a lot of respect for Oklahoma State's defense and what they're capable of, and looks at what they've got schedule-wise coming up, and sees the capability of this team to go and make some noise.
Yeah, last week you guys played against Kansas, and you had to run over Kansas. If you didn't run over Kansas, you probably would not be in the college football playoffs, because Kansas is not Kansas in football. The Kansas in basketball might be better, but not in football. But how difficult is that for Coach Gundy to get your players up, knowing that you got to score 30 points against Kansas just to make it look good on the paper, so that everybody be like, "Hey, good job."
Well, they had one thing that really helped them out, was the fact that the week before, Kansas had really kind of taken it to OU and hung in that game and looked pretty good for a while. So that was a good eye opener for Oklahoma State coming into the week. So that was really important, and let them know that there's always a chance that same Kansas team shows up again and controls the ball, controls the clock, and makes things close. So Oklahoma State, I think, was pretty fired up because of that, and we wanted to go out and show that they could go out and blow somebody out, because they hadn't done it even against Missouri State or Tulsa earlier this year. Those were games that were still tight in the fourth quarter. So they needed a game like that to gain some confidence, I think.
Do you feel like the winning the bowl game last year against Miami down there in Orlando helped them get a little bit better this year? Because they played a really tough Miami squad last year in that bowl game, and I felt like they probably learned something from that bowl game to help carry over to this year.
They really did. They learned some things, not only about their defense, but what their offense is capable of, what Spencer Sanders can do. That was one of the best games of his career to this point. And they got some other receivers involved. Tyler Wallace only played the first half of that game, and then sat out the second half. So Tay Martin got a lot of extended work in the second half of that game, and he's been one of their go-to receivers earlier this year. And Brendan Presley was another guy who got a lot of extra action in that bowl game, and he is really becoming an important piece of this offense at this point.
Yeah. Just talk about West Virginia for a minute. They're 4-4. They played Maryland earlier this year. They lost down in College Park. It seems like they're trying to play catch up ever since that game. Do you feel like they're getting back to where West Virginia football is, or are they still trying to find that missing piece?
It seems like there's something that's missing, just with consistency, because they've shown. I saw Iowa State with my own two eyes. 2 Saturdays ago. That's a good football team that they just went and beat last week. So, they took Oklahoma to the wire, and Oklahoma's had their up and down issues as well, but they held Oklahoma to one of the lowest scoring totals in Lincoln Riley's tenure at Oklahoma. So, they're definitely a team that has shown the capabilities of being really good. There's just something missing consistency-wise with them that leads to some up and down performances. So you look at what they're capable of, and you've got to be a little bit nervous about it if you're Oklahoma State. So you've got to be on top of your game going into Morgantown for sure.
Yeah. With the conference realignment, with Oklahoma leaving to go to the SEC, what is it going to do for you guys in your rivalry? Is it going to be gone?
Most likely, it looks like that's going to be the case. It's just going to be too difficult to be able to schedule that on top of what Oklahoma State already has lined up in their future schedule. They've really taken a proactive stance in scheduling some much tougher games going forward, and to add Oklahoma into that mix as a non-conference game is really going to be complicated. So it looks like this is whenever Oklahoma leaves the Big 12, that's probably going to be the end of the rivalry in football, at least.
Yeah, I think it's sad that all these nice rivalry games like you guys with Bedlam, the week before Thanksgiving or on Thanksgiving weekend, winner goes to the Big 12 championship. It's all going to disappear, and it's like almost like Texas A&M and Texas. They don't play each other anymore. Nebraska, Oklahoma don't play. They played each other this year, but normally it's been like it used to be every year. On Thanksgiving, it's sad. All these rivalry games are going to be like long gone, and the only time you'll play them is probably maybe a bowl game or some kind of opening they have.
Yeah, exactly. It's the Bedlam series means a lot to the people of Oklahoma, and to see that kind of take a dive and disappear is going to be frustrating. Now, on the other side, there are some Oklahoma State fans that are kind of excited to see it go away and want to see Oklahoma State stand on their own 2 feet and not be viewed as the little brother of Oklahoma in the Big 12 conference. So they feel like there's some growing that can be done from the Oklahoma State standpoint on that side of the rivalry.
Yeah, talk about the expansion. You got Central Florida coming in, Houston's coming in. I think SMU is coming in, or
BYU
and
Cincinnati.
Yeah. And Cincinnati. So just talk about that expansion coming in, making it look like Oklahoma State's going to be the new guy and the big dog, and then you got Central Florida who knocked off Auburn and everybody else a couple of years ago. They're not the same Central Florida team, but they could actually build on people coming to the Big 12 and they make that hopefully that conference a little more competitive.
Yeah, absolutely. You look at the last time that this conference expanded. TCU was one of those programs that people kind of didn't really think too much of, but they've taken the opportunity with being in the Big 12 to really grow their brand. You look at Cincinnati and Houston, BYU and Central Florida have all had really impressive seasons over in recent years. A couple of those having really good years this year. So you look at adding them to a Power 5 conference, and there's a really good chance that they can that they're going to be able to take that and run with it, really improve what they're doing. So it's really important for those programs. But you're right, Oklahoma State has a chance to be right in there competing for a Big 12 title every year.
Yeah. Well, one last question to ask you: the weather this weekend. I know you're there in Oklahoma; it's 50 degrees and raining. Is that going to be a factor at 3:30? Because I know by the time the game gets to the fourth quarter, it's going to get down to maybe in the low 40s, early low 30s, and it might be a little bit chilly for both squads. But is that going to be a factor?
It certainly could be. It's been really warm up until this week here in Oklahoma, so Oklahoma State players haven't had to deal with really cold weather. So it could be a factor, and of course we've had a pretty dry fall so far as well. So there hasn't been a lot of rain issues going on in Oklahoma. So that's always a little bit of a trick. So we'll see what the Oklahoma State players are able to do in terms of handling a little bit colder weather and those sorts of things going into what's going to be a tough game.
Yeah. Hey, it's the best time of the year. It's November.
That's right.
This time, like I feel like back in August, we were like waiting for football to start. Now it's like, all of a sudden, like in November, we're like, what happened here?
You're right. Exactly.
Now it's like, now you got 2 more weeks until everybody get ready for conference championship games and the selection Sunday on the college football playoff, and then you guys get ready to go to a bowl game, and and then all of a sudden January comes along, and you're like, is that done?
Right? Where's football?
And then you start covering basketball, thinking like, why am I covering basketball?
Right? Exactly.
But it's going to be fun. I think this month of November is going to be a fantastic month, and people don't realize it's going to be a lot of different upsets. Everybody's equal this year. It seems like everybody's in the same playing field, except for if you're Kansas.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's a really competitive year in the Big 12, and a lot of things still up in the air. Who's going to go play for the conference title? So it's going to be a fun month.
Yeah, it's going to be cool to see who who will make it to the college football playoff. And like last night, everybody started whining about Cincinnati not being in the top 4 and Ohio State's in top 5. And it's like, I think it's just great what they did. Yeah, it gets people to talk about it. Yeah, because if you have the same stuff every year, people are going to go click. For them.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, and I think having Oklahoma at the team that you don't want to talk about, at number 9, I feel like it gives them more challenging stuff to do because they still have to play you guys.
Right. They've got Baylor left, which is number 12 in the rankings, so they've got a chance to go and make some noise.
And I feel like with Oklahoma being 9, it gets them to work for something because I feel like the last couple of years they put them in number 4 and they're like, we're just going to move on into the championship game. Oh, wait a minute, we got Oklahoma. Oklahoma State. We got to do that. But it's like, now it's like you got to play to get in there. And I think and I liked what the committee did. Yeah,
I thought that they valued a lot of what teams have done so far and did a good job with it.
Exactly. Well, let me let you go. Thank you so much for taking some time for tonight, and thanks for responding to the email. And safe trip to Morgantown. I wish I would be there this weekend, but I have a friend. His father passed away today.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I got to make the put the friend hat on for the
there you go
weekend. Yeah, so
good deal.
All right, man. Have a safe trip, and we'll talk to you before a bowl game against an ACC squad.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Chris.
All right, man. Talk to you soon.
See ya.
All right, that's Scott Wright, who writes for the Oklahoman. They're going to be playing West Virginia this weekend. And let's bring in one of the radio analysts for the West Virginia Mountaineers, Dwight Wallace. Hi, Dwight. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Chris. How are you?
Not bad. Are you enjoying this nice crisp weather? You're thinking
a reminder what's coming, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. It's like football season. I'm just waiting for the first.
It is that, yeah.
I was going to come out to see you guys this weekend, but I had a situation I have to stay home for. Yeah, because my friend's father passed away today. So.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Yeah, it's kind of you got to love your parents. You never know; they might be going soon.
Sure.
And you got to be around. So let's talk about this weekend's game against Oklahoma State. Last week, you guys played against Iowa State. It was a back and forth battle.
Yeah, we. Iowa State's kind of had our number the last couple of years, and I think they've really they've grown up as a program, and we've watched it, and we really admire what they've done. I mean, very physical on both sides of the ball, offense and defense. Really work so hard on mismatches. I mean, they've got a lot of 6'6", 6'7" guys. They've got 3 tight ends that are 6'6" and 6'7". They'll put all 3 of them in at the same time in a bunch position. And then on the split end, the single receiver away, they'll have another 6'6" guy. So, they've got those mismatches. You really have a hard time defending. So I think they just have done so well. An excellent running back, an active quarterback that's very accurate. And then with that talent and the big line and then a defense that plays too. So we knew we had to play really physical, and I thought our guys kind of stepped up. They really answered the bell, and I think our running backs ran better than they've been running. Our receivers made some terrific catches, really supported our quarterback well, got good protection up front. So I think across the board, then our defense was active, got worked on the turnover thing. So I really think that we got better as a football team that week.
Yeah, you guys, it seems like you guys are 4-4 on the season. I feel like after that Maryland game, you guys put all your eggs in the basket, and you're going to try to knock off Maryland, your old rival. And all of a sudden it feels like it seems like you guys are playing catch up ever since then. Do you feel like that?
Yeah, I think that's probably pretty good analysis. I think Maryland had a couple of very good skill receivers that I think are going to play beyond on Sunday probably in the future. But I think that. We turned the ball over 3 times there and still had 2 or 3 opportunities to win that game. So I think really disappointed that we just didn't answer the bell on that. And with those opportunities, we just squandered opportunities. And you can't turn the ball over against a good team. And I felt like we just didn't play real well there. So had a lot of catching up to do right there, as you said. And we did get a good win over Virginia Tech. We thought that might get us up and going. And then we went to Oklahoma, and we held Oklahoma Well, we were tied with them 13-13 late in the fourth quarter, a team that scores at will almost. And so really good defensive play there on our guys' part. But then they took the ball on their own 8, and under 2 minutes, they took it down, kicked a field goal, and walked off. And same thing happened next week. We had the same thing, another walk-off field goal. And then we showed up in the Baylor game and just didn't play very well. So I think between Maryland and Baylor, those are the two performances we'd like do-overs on if we could. And then we'd like just if you could add a couple more minutes on either of those other two games, maybe we could find a way to win them. So I think close. We lost 3 games by 12 points. Mm-hmm. And so feel like we've been in it. We've been competitive. We're seeing kids get better. We are playing freshmen and sophomores on our offensive line, and that's an area that I think you struggle with. I think sometimes you can play those young guys in a skill position, a running back or receiver, but boy, you play them in the offensive line. There's just so much to learn. You're going from high school into the real man's game, at the college level. So anyway, yeah, I think we've gotten a lot better. I think our last 2 wins, we went to TCU and won, and then Iowa State at home last week. 2 good wins for us. So we feel like we got some momentum going.
Yeah, talk about TCU. Coach Patterson just all of a sudden just had to resign. Sunday night or Monday morning? It was like,
yeah, sorry to hear that. Really respect him, respect the job he's done in that program down there, and I think that's widespread respect among the coaches and anyone involved that knows anything about TCU football. So, that was a shocker. And because TCU, year in and year out, you've got to have your best game when you play those guys. And we've had some knockdown dragouts with them. We've had overtime games. We went into the conference the same time TCU did. So we kind of, they're a little bit of a yardstick for us. And we've had some success, but also we've been challenged every time. So, yeah, sorry to see that with Gary, but should certainly wish him the best.
Do you feel like Coach Brown is finally breaking away from Daniel Holgerson's shadow? Because I feel like, when Daniel Holgerson was there, I heard a lot of stuff, like he did stuff in West Virginia that people didn't like. But does it feel like Coach Brown is finally getting all that garbage out of there and saying, this is my program?
I think we're really pleased with Coach Brown. I think he's a quality guy that's done a lot for the program. He's really connected well with the fan base. There was an article written, and I'm going to not quote these correctly because I kind of scanned the article, but basically it did take a look back at different coaches when they arrived, how much talent was on the roster. So they measured it in NFL prospects. So when Bobby Bowden came, during his tenure, he was left something like, 8 or 9 NFL prospects that he inherited. When Don Nealon came, kind of the same situation. Rodriguez. They went through each one and quoted, and then Coach Brown just won. Wow. So, I think it was kind of a bare cupboard, really, that Coach Holgerson, terrific play caller, and boy, he could find ways to score points, just didn't do a real good job recruiting-wise in hindsight.
Yeah, and plus Morgantown, West Virginia is this state school, and you got to perform well, just like you see in Florida State and down in other places around the country. If you don't perform well, you're going to have that press conference in aisle 9 in the supermarket.
Well, it's it matters. It really matters. West Virginia football matters to West Virginians, and I don't care. You can go to any state in the country, and if you run to West Virginia, and he's probably a football fan. He probably wears the gold and blue, and so I think it is important. And you look back, with Bobby Bowden and Don Nealon, right through all the coaches through the years, there's been some pretty good. I think there's kind of a legacy there that we expect to have success. We did step out of the box a little bit with Coach Holgerson. It was exciting with the great offenses. But I think that, Coach Brown is bringing more of a balanced approach. I think it's a good, solid foundation with, good, like we're time of possession. I mean, that's one thing I know Coach Holgerson did not care about at all was time of possession. He was more interested in how many plays you run. So whereas now we were helping the defense out. If the offense can hold the ball, those are plays, and you don't have to play defense. And so you can rest your defense. And then your defense, our defense has been ranked nationally the last couple of years. So that gives us a good solid footing to start. And then if you can get that offense cranked up and contribute with special teams, then you got a chance.
Yeah. Let's talk about the expansion of the league now, because you got Central Florida coming in, you got Houston, you got Cincinnati, who now is part of the college football playoff. What would that mean for the conference with Oklahoma and Texas, who Texas couldn't even win the conference? And Oklahoma, looking for something new and exciting to do. But I feel like all the rivalry games, like Benjamin is going to be gone, and you guys playing them, every year. It just seems like it's going to be brand new stuff, in a couple of years.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's kind of interesting. You travel around the conference, and I tend to ask the fans. We'll go to breakfast or something, and there's always somebody at the next table, and they identify us as being from West Virginia, and they want to talk about the conference. And to be honest with you, there are quite a few of those fans at other schools are sort of happy to see them go. Now I'm upset, because I thought they were really important for our conference, and I think everybody else does because of the television sets and all that. There's always national interest with Oklahoma and Texas. And I know our guys get excited to play them, and disappointed too. I mean, now all of a sudden, gosh, people can't trust people anymore. I just went by. All this stuff's done in the dark, and you wake up one day and here 2 key members of your conference are gone. But we're going to go forward. We've been there before at West Virginia. We were independent for a number of years. Before that, we played in the Southern Conference and kind of outgrew the Southern Conference, and then went independent. And there were a lot of independent schools then, so you could get a pretty good schedule, but it was getting tougher. People were starting to join conferences, and after you get your first 2 or 3 games in, it was hard to find people to play. So we end up getting involved with the Big East, and that was a good thing for us until the ACC started to dismantle the Big East. So we've been through this before. We went through it in the Big East, and then we were able to latch on to the Big 12, and they've welcomed us, and we're really appreciative to be a part of that. And I don't know. I think the Big 12 still got a future. I mean, I don't see why we can't just keep going on turning out good football teams. I mean, we've got we got Oklahoma State this week. They're a handful, and the TCUs, and I mean, really, there's a lot of good football in this conference. So we'll go forward without those 2 guys.
Yeah. Well, you were a head coach at Ball State for a while, right?
Yes,
and, what was it like being a head coach out? When you were back, it was like in 1978 to 1984. Yeah. How different was it back then to now? And it seemed like
well, it's quite a difference. I had 6 assistant coaches. We were considered Division I program. And but it's I was head football coach, offensive coordinator, quarterbacks, receiver coach. So you kind of do a little bit of it all. And then I ended up being athletic director before I got out of there, along with the head coaching duties. So it's a little bit different from that standpoint. I know there's a rule that a year or 2 ago I saw where you can't have any more. I think it was like 22 people on a headset during the game. 22. Right. I'd have to recruit janitors and things to put on to get to 22, So I don't know how that, but it is different. I mean, all of a sudden you've got guys who are in charge of graphics and things like that. I mean, I'm not sure what some of those guys do, to tell you the truth, but obviously it works. I mean, we saw Coach Saban do really well at Alabama, and I think he kind of set the bar. He's the guy who set the standard, and now everybody looks that direction, and they're trying to do that. They want those associate coaches. They want good support. And I don't think we're going back. So, yeah, quite a bit different that way. And yet, when it got to blocking and tackling, we had some pretty good players. We had some kids that went on to play in the NFL, and some played right away in the NFL. So I do think the quality of football at Ball State was pretty good in the Mid-American. and we were playing some good Miami teams and Bowling Green and some of those others, and it's competitive. And so that part of it was good, but yeah, we didn't have near the support staff or the budgets or any of that kind of thing.
Yeah. Did you have somebody named David Letterman walking around?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, once in a while he showed up. He showed up the one time. We gave him a game jersey. I don't know if he's got it hanging somewhere or not, but he always had a few funny comments, for us when we were there.
Nice. Yeah, I think back when you were talking about the 22 people on the headset, I think Miami just got violated last week because they only had 20. So it's like my brother said, like, okay, they had 2 people not on a headset. What's the big deal? Yeah. And they have to lose now they're penalized by the NCAA, where they have to lose 20% of whatever they had for this week against Georgia Tech. I'm like,
oh jeez.
I'm like, why do you do this to people? Go away.
Amazing.
Crazy. So, well, Dwight, thanks so much for coming on tonight. I hope you have enjoy the game this weekend. Sorry I can't make a trip there, but I'll see you.
Yeah, I'm sorry too.
Yeah, I hope to see you at the Texas game. I have a pass for the game for Texas.
Oh, good. Okay, well, that'll be a good one too.
Hopefully the snow stays away, because I know about that area real well.
It sneaks in there now and then. Yeah.
Hopefully the snow after I leave. So we'll keep in touch, and we'll try to get you on for that Texas game. Okay.
Okay, Chris. We'll talk to you later. See you.
All right. Talk to you soon.
All right.
Bye. All right. That's Coach. That's Coach Wallace there. He's now on the broadcast for West Virginia football. 7:56 here on a Wednesday night. I'm Chris Heidel, just doing this independently this evening. Just getting ourselves acclimated. Coming up at the top of the hour in 4 minutes, we'll get to the head coach of Bowie State football, a good friend of ours, Coach Wilson, will join us. They're rolling. Yeah, he's doing a good job with the program. I kind of feel like when I did the games a couple years ago, I got shortchanged, except for except for the food they gave me. It was fantastic. We'll talk to him at 8:00, and they're getting ready to get ready for a game against Elizabeth City. Elizabeth City State University, who that was a good field a couple years ago. I saw that field down there in North Carolina. And then Shannon Poleski, who is the winner last week on the Women's Professional Bowlers Tour. She won the Tour Players Championship, or Tour Championship, and that's one of their majors. So she'll join us at 8:15. And then Mike Gross from our friend up in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, who writes for the beat writer for Penn State football. We'll talk Penn State, Maryland. Maryland looking to get a win again to be bowl eligible, and also knocking off Penn State for the second year in a row, because Penn State right now is limping into this game, losing the last 2 games of the season to Illinois and Ohio State. I was looking at something on the program here. The bowl people came out. I don't think you see that real well, but let me bring it up to you. The bowl season. We'll get the director of the bowl season back on the program in the next future shows, because I love talking to him. He was great. He's from Maryland, and from the state of Maryland and all that stuff. Right now, we'll talk about this a little bit later. We'll see the ACC. In the Military Bowl, it looks like it's going to be Virginia Tech and SMU playing each other. And then down in Fenway Park, Louisville taking on Liberty. That's going to be an interesting game up at Fenway Park. And then down in Charlotte, where we normally stay for the ACC championship game, Lane Kiffin's Ole Miss Running Rebels taking on Mac Brown in North Carolina. So that's going to be an interesting bowl. This is just right now provocations for the first bowl games of the year. Cincinnati should be playing Michigan in the Fiesta Bowl and the Sugar Bowl, Oklahoma and Auburn, and in the Outback Bowl, Tennessee and Iowa. And then Tony the Tire Sun Bowl, looks like Clemson is going to the Sun Bowl for the first time since the 1940s. They're going to play Oregon State. If that, hang on, we'll get our friend Bernie Ali's on the phone from Ohio, from the Sun Bowl. We'll talk to him in the future. So let's get on the program here. It's top of the hour. Let's bring in Coach Damian Wilson, the head coach of Bowie State football. Coach Wilson, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing well, Chris. Thanks for having me.
No problem. I was just talking in the beginning before I got you on. I was like, when the year I did the games with you guys did not win a division title. You just gave me good food. That's all you did.
we were building. Yeah, we were building something special when you started.
I know. I was looking at it the other day going, I probably was back then. It was okay. The games were, hard to broadcast, but we had fun.
Yeah.
It was great to see different. I had a great time seeing different places of the country. Where you got Elizabeth City coming to your town,
Right.
your stadium, but we went there and went even up in Massachusetts. That was really
Right.
cool. Yeah. So talk about your team, another division title. So I guess you guys should keep on rolling here.
Well, yes, we were successful in winning a division title this last week, and locked in another spot for the CIAA championship game. So we're excited about that. That was one of our goals at the beginning of the year, and we were excited to accomplish that first goal.
Nice. And you guys played in the CIAA championship game down in Salem, North Carolina, or Salem, Virginia.
So Virginia, yes.
Who are you playing on the other side, Fayetteville or
Fayetteville? Yeah, we will play Fayetteville next week on the 13th of November.
Oh wow! So just talk about this coming weekend's game is Senior Day. You got 21 seniors coming to get their waves and flowers, give it to mom and dad and all that stuff. So just talk about those seniors and what are they meant for you guys for the program.
Well, I know some guys that's been in the program 4 to 5 years. These guys have probably had the winningest record as a Bowie State student athlete when it comes to football. These guys, some of these guys have played in maybe 4 to 5 championship games, since they've been here. And all the guys, a number of the guys are already in graduate school. So we're extremely excited to have our guys graduate and move forward into graduate school. So some of those guys are finishing up their master's degree in the spring. So, we're very fortunate that our guys are doing a great job in the classroom as well as on the football field.
That's great. That's awesome. And I saw some of them are journalism, majors. So they might be giving me a phone call. I wish I had get some credit for them. But these kids they're hardworking kids, even in class and also off on the field.
Yes, and that's something that we pride ourselves in recruiting. Is to make sure that we bring guys in that can matriculate in the classroom as well as learn on the football field. And we've had success with those guys in both areas. So, like I said, we're excited. It's going to hurt to lose some of these guys because these guys are like family to us. So it's definitely going to hurt to see those guys finish up their career. But I'm excited to see them move forward in life.
Yeah. Talk about the last time we had you on, it was the opening weekend. You had to play Delaware State. What did you learn from that game against Delaware State? Because they're in the MEAC and they're coming off of rebuilding, what they did in the springtime.
Well, I learned a lot about my team. I understand. Came out of that game, we started off pretty slow. We had, I want to say, 6 turnovers during that game. We had a number of penalties, but our guys battled back and we ended up losing the ball game by a touchdown. So we showed a lot of perseverance through that game. I knew we had a team that wasn't going to quit. We learned from those mistakes we made that game. During that game, and we've been on a pretty good streak since that game. We also noticed that it was an advantage, if you will, for Delaware State. They're playing in the spring. We hadn't played a year and a half. Those guys just played 6 months ago. So they were familiar with one another, and I think they gave them an upper hand, which was great for them. And I think we learned a lot from that game, and that we built upon some of the things we did during that game.
Well, you haven't played. I was looking at getting some stuff about the game this weekend. You haven't played in Elizabeth City since 2019,
right? Because we didn't play in 20.
Yeah,
we didn't play in 20. So yes, we played them last in 2019.
Wow, and you won 60-21. So I guess what did you learn that game? It seems like you guys were kept scoring and scoring. It looked like I was looking at the box score a little bit. Were they more? Are they different looking on film today than they were 2 years ago?
Oh, without a doubt. Coach Jones and the staff has done a great job at Elizabeth City. He's rebuilding the program, and you can tell it's a different team than we played in 2019. These guys are physical. These guys fly around. These guys have won a couple games this year that I guess they weren't supposed to win on paper. However, they were able to get it done. So we're going to have our hands full this weekend, and we look forward towards the challenge.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the experience down there, in Bowie. It seems like you guys are building brand new buildings. I went there like a month ago to pick up a car, and I drove past it. I was like, whoa! I'm like, where are these buildings coming from? It's like I was like really impressed because when I went down there a couple years ago with you guys, it was like a couple buildings and that was it.
Right. We continue to grow as a university. Administration has done a great job. Continue to put resources into the different majors and to our students. We just opened up a brand new entrepreneurship building, which also serves as a residence hall. So once again, we're excited about that. We have some projects going in athletics. We're doing some rebranding around the building, and also we're going to do some things at the football field or the football stadium in the near future. So I'm really excited about what we're doing here.
And they have a new communication director, Miss Williams, taking over. Our old buddy who went on, retired. What's it like having her, a brand new person, and are you having a good time learning her and learning you and all that stuff?
Well, yes, Joe Lisa has come in and done a great job. Just understanding the layout here at Bowie State University. She's already was familiar with the conference, so our relationship is great, and we pick each other's brain. And she came in right at the right time, because we were going right into football season, so we didn't have a whole lot of time to kind of hold her hand. So she had to hit the ground running, and she's done a great job to this point.
Okay. So talk about you in the off season. You do a lot of cool. You go to coaching clinics. One year had Coach Hallball from Michigan came down to see you. And you did a camp with him. What was it like having him as in a camp setting?
It was great. What we try to do is partner with one of the FBS programs. We've done camps with Penn State, with Michigan, Virginia Tech, and we've done camps with a number of universities. And I think it's great because at the end of the day, we want to give these high school students an opportunity to go to school. Everyone can't go to Bowie State. Everyone's not going to go to Michigan. So we want to give these guys an opportunity to be recognized and be seen, to display their skills, and give them an opportunity to earn a scholarship and go to school and finish their education. So, it's great to work with those guys. It's great to talk football with those guys because I think it helps, build our brand. And at the same time, it helps from a professional standpoint as well.
Yeah. And plus you pick a brain from a very good Power 5 coach that might help you improve your team as well. So you say, hey, he told me something back in August and might help you out with you planning, game planning for you.
I think it goes both ways. I think Coach Hallball can pick some things from us, and we can do the same. Just because you're an FBS school or Power 5 school conference, I think there's a lot of football to be learned, and I think we could take a lot from each other. So that's exactly what we did during that time, and we look forward to doing more of that in the future.
That's cool. Well, this is the 38th meeting between you guys and Elizabeth City State University. So what time is the game on Saturday, just in case of people who want to come on down? And, I know Maryland's playing at 3:30, but they want to come see you.
Well, we play at 1:00. And like I said, senior day, we have 21 seniors that's finishing up their regular season home career at the stadium. So we're excited about, sending those guys out the right way. And but we play at 1:00 at Bulldog Stadium.
Yeah. Hey, I saw you guys on Maryland Public Television a couple of weeks ago. And I was very impressed. I was like, whoa, they're on Maryland Public Television? What the heck happened here? Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. It's good. A number of the major news broadcast channels have come out to the university as well. So, we're excited to get exposure for our student athletes.
Yeah. Hey, we did. I guess I did something right back in years ago. I get you guys rolling. When I came there, you guys just had home games, and you were on the road doing road games. Your games were on the road, and nobody's like listening. Didn't even know what was going on. And I remember the first game we did in Massachusetts, we had a lot of people on, and our server went down.
Right. Oh wow.
Yeah, I remember that. I was sweating bullets. I'm like, people were sending me like, "What's going on? What is it?" I'm like, "It's called internet, people." And I think in Assumption, that's where we were. Yeah, I think they weren't used to having a lot of people up there.
Right.
Yeah, but hey, there was growing pains, and I remember that. It was fun.
Indeed, that's all part of the process. You can't skip that part. Now we're on the other side of it.
Exactly. Well, let me let you go. I know you got a lot of stuff to do. Thanks for taking some time tonight, and good luck this weekend at 1:00 on Saturday, and we'll keep in touch down the road.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you, Chris.
All right, man. Talk to you soon.
Yes, sir.
See you. All right, that's a good friend, Coach Wilson from Bowie State. We always try to get Bowie State on because they gave us an opportunity a couple years ago to broadcast games on the road, so it was fun. So 8:10 here on a Wednesday night. Last two guests are coming on at the end of the show here. We'll be back on next Tuesday night. Yeah, Tuesday night at 7:30, our new time. The Sports Talk with Chris Heidel will we'll preview Canes and Knowles. That's all we got to say. Canes and Knowles. No, that's next Tuesday night. We'll preview Miami and Florida State playing each other in another rivalry game. So both schools this year having they're up and down. Everybody's having an up and down season. So let's see here. I gotta find where I put it. Where did I put it? Hold on. Trying to find it, folks. So thanks for joining us here. We're waiting for Shannon to join us. I'm trying to find. There it is. So this is what we're gonna do next week here on next Tuesday night at 7:30.
In the state of Florida, football is king. For decades, a battle has raged between Florida State and Miami to decide which university would claim pigskin supremacy. Their rivalry has produced some of college football's most memorable finishes.
It's up. Missed it to the right for the win. He missed it. Wide left.
Recently, the victory pendulum has swung back to the side of the Canes, who've taken 4 straight from the Knowles, including a victory earlier this season. Tonight marks the final meeting between these football superpowers before they become ACC conference mates. What better place for the two to meet on the biggest stage?
Yes, so that's what we're going to do next week here on the program. Canes Knowles. We're going to try to get some former Canes, Miami Hurricane, or that team from South Florida. I'll be decked out, and you see behind me. Yeah, we're going to get the Seminoles in gear next week. We lost a tough game against Clemson on last Saturday, but this week we take on NC State at home, and Miami's taking on, Georgia Tech. So hopefully we'll get ourselves ready for that as well. So that's next week, next Tuesday night at 7:30. So Canes, Knowles, and we'll talk a little more about local sports here as well. But can't forget the weekend of Canes and Knowles. No offense, that's just un-American. That's why I look at it. So, we're just getting ready for Shannon here, who will be joining us shortly. So let's look at that bowl schedule again. The Pinstripe Bowl. The one up in the Yankee Stadium. Bowl. I guess I spelled stripe wrong. Bowl. Syracuse versus Penn State right now. That's going to be a very interesting game there, the Pinstripe Bowl. So, anyway, let's bring in Shannon here, Polensky, who will be joining us. Hi, Shannon. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I hope I didn't butcher it. Did I butcher it?
No.
Okay, I try to do the best I can with last days. I have that thing like I practice it and I and I go, oh God, yeah, I screw it up and I just go like this, throw it over my shoulder. Yeah. Congratulations on the win on Sunday on the Halloween. I guess you got a treat instead of a trick.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So talk about the lanes there. How tough was there in Reno? Because I guess you love Reno because that's where you won your 2 majors.
Yeah, I do like Reno. The lanes on tour are always difficult, right? Like it's supposed to have the cream rise to the top every week, and fortunately for me, Reno's a good place.
Yeah. it looked like it was a good broadcast as well. You know, you had Dave Ryan, who's a good friend of ours, and Kelly Kulik doing the broadcast. So it's great to see CBS Sports covering the Women's Professional Bowlers Tour.
Yeah, they do a great job calling the action, and Kelly has really good insight because she's obviously bowling as well, right? So she can give the listeners and watchers, viewers, how she played them and what she suggested to do.
Yeah, how difficult were the lanes for you guys? Because I know on a major on the men's side, they have to give they call it the Mark Rolfe pattern or the Pete Weber pattern. What kind of pattern was it?
We don't really have a name. So they just come up with it, the Tour Championship pattern, and they post it, 30 minutes before we have practice session. So we never know what we're bowling on until 30 minutes before.
Yeah. I love the broadcast on Sunday. You had the three little ghosts in the background. And for a minute, I'm watching it with my girlfriend, I'm like, were actually ghosts behind there?
And they were moving, like it was fun.
Yeah, cool.
I'm glad they did that. It was a nice touch for the show, for sure.
Yeah, I think that was great to bring that out for Halloween. So you come from a legendary bowling college program in Nebraska, and we had Bill Straubs on a couple years ago, and he's a former professional bowler on the men's side who basically was on the tail end of a 7-10 split by Mark Rolfe back in 1980. So was it like, I know he's not coaching anymore, but I know you're there as a coach as well now. So what is he still helping out with the program?
Not very much. I think, when he retired, he was trying to step away, and it's hard to, not be the head coach, but still try to coach, right? So I still keep in contact with him. Obviously, I've learned a lot while I was there and from him, and still use the things he taught me to this day. And
some classic bowling there from the 80s, where I was a kid growing up watching the Professional Bowlers Tour. I didn't realize he was the guy with the 7-10 split with Mark Rolfe. I was like, ooh, that's not good. Yeah. Did he talk to you about his days on the tour and help you out getting ready for the women's tour? Did he help you with, how to prepare and how to, get yourself mentally ready?
A little bit, like when I was at school, he talked about it, but so I graduated in 2005 and the tour ended in 2003. So there was a long drought of no women's tour. And so we didn't really have too many conversations about it then, because it was going to be completely different. If it ever was going to come back, nobody really knew.
Yeah. And it's great that you guys have, you're back on tour. And for a while, the men was helping you guys out. And you were, and Kelly Kulik was the only lady to beat Chris Barnes in the tour championship. So she has one of the men's trophies in her office. Yeah, can you hear me? I think we lost her. Are you still there?
I'm here.
Okay.
It's a little choppy, but I'm here.
Yeah, it's probably the weather in different parts of the country, but what I'm just saying, the men had you guys for a while, and it helped.
Yep, in the 2009-10.
Yeah, and then you guys got back on your own tour, and I think how did that work? How did that help you guys? You see a lot of now you guys are working with the PBA sometimes with some special stuff, and you guys did that thing up in Maine. I think that was pretty cool. Yeah.
It's exciting, they are inviting the women to compete in their PBA league, and I think that's always a made for TV type show, and so I think it's good for the women to be on there to just get more exposure and try to get more people to follow the women's tour, and hopefully girls out of college are looking to want to bowl on tour and continue bowling after they graduate.
Yeah. You being a left-hander, when you were growing up as a young girl, who did you watch on TV? Because there's a lot of good lefty bowlers like Mike Albee and Steve Cook, and
I watched Parker Bone a lot.
You like Parker? Have you talked to him? Have you guys?
Yep, I've met Parker quite a few times. Awesome guy, and the bowling world's big but small, right? So kind of everybody is a tight-knit family in the bowling world. So
I just can't believe his kids are grown up now.
I know, they're at school, and it's crazy.
Yeah,
Justin.
Yeah, when they had the Baltimore stop here years ago, he asked me to babysit his kids for a couple minutes because he had to go do something, and they were just running around, and now I'm looking on TV going, "That's Parker's kid."
Right.
You know, and then like Parker was doing the king of the lanes thing, and he needed money because one of his sons did something. You know, it's like wow, dad's gonna just put you right on television. That's a good idea.
They grow up fast.
Exactly. So, what's the rest of the 2021 for you? I know the tour is done for the winter. You know, or you getting ready for back to college bowling? Get ready for
Yeah, so I actually moved back home to Ohio in June, so I'm actually not coaching this year. Julia Bond took my position, so I'm back in Ohio. I'll bowl some local tournaments, some stuff with the kids, and then high school bowling's getting ready to start, so I'll probably try to help my stepson's team a little bit, and then team trials in January, so just trying to keep going before team trials.
Yeah, we started when I was a kid. I was in high school. They started the high school bowling up in Hartford County. I was like, oh, cool. You know, I bowled it in, and it was like, and I was actually that was the time I made a 7-10 split in the high school league, and I bounced it out. Yeah, I did the John Mazda. I bounced it out, and everybody goes, no, you hit the foul line. You hit the ball. I'm like, no, I didn't. Yeah. If you just hit it the right angle,
right.
And I've been like researching a couple times here in my office. I'm like, yeah, I did hit it.
Right. There's some centers they bounce better than others, so they're more likely to be made there than like Reno. It's really hard to bounce pins out of Reno with the machines they have.
Yeah, that's true. Well, Shannon, thank you so much for taking time tonight. I know you had a busy week and enjoyed the holidays. I hope you and your family have a great holiday season. And
thank you so much.
We'll see you in 2022.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
All right, thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
See ya. All right, that's Shannon Poleski, who won the Tour Championship on the Professional Bowlers Tour, Women's Professional Bowlers Tour. I was thinking about the men's tour for a minute. Let's bring in the last guest of the evening, our good friend Mike Rose. Hi, Mike. How are you?
I'm great, Chris. How you doing?
Not bad. We're doing great. Yeah, sorry I didn't see you at the Auburn game. I had work the next day at 7 a.m., so there's no way I'm driving back at 4.
Oh, that's tough. Yeah, that's asking a lot.
Yeah, that'll be a dead day for me on a Sunday.
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, tough go for Penn State right now, losing 2 in a row, except for that 9 overtime melee up there.
Actually, 3 in a row.
3 in a row.
Yeah.
So what is going
on? The big thing that I see is that they can't run the ball.
Okay.
And I think that's mostly an offensive line issue. Their offense is supposedly based on this RPO thing, this run pass option, and it looked to so often they go to the line of scrimmage, and I assume they're running this RPO thing, and the defense looks like it's inviting them to run the ball, and they just can't run it. They just can't. It's a light box. It's 3 up front. It's huge gaps in the defense, and they seem like they're making what you would think would be the correct call, and they can't, they don't get anything out of it anyway because guys can't hold off their blocks. That's how it looks to me. Although I thought they played well at Ohio State, they played absolutely horrible in the Illinois game. I mean, that was just and the surprise thing in the Illinois game was their inability to stop the run. Illinois, of all people, ran for 350 yards against them. And their defense otherwise has been very good. They have a pretty elite defense.
Yeah, it just seemed like the last 3 weeks it's been like it's not Penn State football. Before that it was more like you guys. It was like running, smacking them, smacking around, and now it's like, okay, we need to win one game to be bowl eligible.
Well, the Iowa game, Clifford the starting quarterback, Sean Clifford, got hurt, and they had a lot of injuries in that game, including defensive tackle PJ Mustipher, who really is sort of the anchor of what they do. And I think against Illinois, they missed Mustipher almost as much as they missed Clifford. And then I think they tweaked some things a little bit in the Ohio State game, and they kind of moved another guy, Derek Tangelo, another tackle, who is not the 6'5", 300-pound plus guy that Mustipher is. That's not how he's built, but I thought he played very well, and their defense played well at Ohio State, but it took them a week, and it took them a ridiculous loss to get there. So now, as far as conference championships, certainly the playoff, they're out of it. And now they got to maybe dig a little deeper for motivation and figure out what to play for.
Yeah. And they're taking on the Maryland team that's basically the same way. They were 4-0, and they run into Iowa, got smacked on smacked on Fox Sports 1. My mom was like, "What was the score?" I'm like, it was like something to 14. She's like, "Ew." I was like, "Well," I'm like,
well, last week Maryland got a great game from Tagliavola, the quarterback, and he played great at Penn State last year. He was spectacular, and that was probably might be where if Illinois isn't the worst game that Penn State has played since Franklin's been there, that game against Maryland would have been. That was just an awful performance. But Tagliavola, it was very good. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing his name, but you know who I'm talking about. But anyway, he was very good last week. But Penn State has a really good back seven on their defense. They're hard to throw against. Even last week, Maryland only ran for 1.7 yards per carry, I noticed. So I think Penn State is the better team. Figuring out where Penn State is at mentally and emotionally is a little complicated right now. So we'll see.
Yeah. Well, they got Michigan next week, and I'm hoping it's not a primetime game. It might be 3:30, or what do you think?
What time?
Yeah.
I think a lot depends on what Penn State does this week. It could be prime time. Okay. It's a fool's errand to try and guess these TV things, and they don't even name them until, in some cases, including this case in Maryland, less than a week before the game. So I have no idea about that.
Yeah, I got the Maryland thing right when Penn State lost to Ohio State. It's 3:30 next Saturday. I'm like,
yeah, right.
Like you just waited until Penn State losing. You can't even tell people on TV or what's going on here.
Well, that's right. Yeah, because they don't figure it out until then.
Yeah,
really. I don't think they're hiding it. I just don't think they figure it out until they look at the results from a Saturday and go from there. Yeah.
I'm hoping to make it up there next week for the Michigan game. What is the best thing to do to get up there? Because I know this time of year it's going to snow sometime soon. Do I leave early on Saturday, next Saturday, like just camp up there and get ready, waiting for the press box?
Well, if it's a noon start, and I kind of doubt that it'll be a noon start, but it's possible. If it's a noon start, then I don't envy you at all, because the last game there was a noon kick. It took me 5.5 hours to get up there. Wow. It normally takes 2.5. Mm-hmm. It took 5.5. I'm not kidding. I'm not making that up. It was brutal. I'm not sure what went wrong. That was Illinois, actually. Mm-hmm. I have some idea what went wrong there, but not entirely. So I can't help you if it's a noon kick, Chris. I can't help you. But I would say, okay. Good luck. I'm hoping that isn't. That was kind of a hearkening back to the time when the roads up there weren't nearly as good, and it was a nightmare to get in and out of that place.
Yeah, I was last time I was up there. I think it was for Indiana, and I put it in waves, and it took me around Amish country.
Oh yeah.
My buddy goes, "Are we on the same road?" I'm like, "It's telling me to make a left here, make a right here around this barn." You go,
well, I would trust Waze. The only thing I would say is where my parking pass is, I have to go in a certain way. You're actually directed to go in a certain way, right. And they won't let you. So that's a problem. But Illinois was such a nightmare getting in there that I could live without another noon kick for the rest of my career.
I know. Like these noon kickoffs for me, like for you, it's like we have to leave. What? I got to leave at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m.
Well, you probably do. Yeah. I leave around 8 or so. Yeah. It's nice for getting home, and it's nice for being able to comfortably get your work done and not have to worry about deadline, Right. But so it's a trade-off there.
Yeah. Let's talk about baseball. Yeah, you're a big baseball guy like I am. The Braves winning the World Series. What's your take on that one?
I love baseball, but I hate the baseball playoff format. I think that with this playoff format, if you played the postseason 10 times, 6 or 7 different teams would win it at least once every year. And I think that's what this was. I think they were fortunate to not have to face – the Braves were fortunate not to have to face both the Dodgers and the Giants, who I think were probably the 2 best teams in the big leagues. But the Braves kind of foundered for the first half of the season, and you could see that they were a better ball club than their 1-loss record was indicating. And certainly if you look at run differential, which is what I always do,
Right.
That's sort of, you can't hide from that. You could tell that they were easily the best team in their division, and they put it together. And I thought at the end of the year, Houston and Atlanta were both playing really well and pretty well set in their ball clubs. So it was okay to at least see some teams that I didn't regard as a fluke being in the World Series. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to take anything away from the Braves. They did a phenomenal job. They were something like 47-22 down the stretch, and then played very well in the postseason. So, congrats to them.
Yeah. I'm a Met fan. We handed them the division because when you were up 90 games, 90 days in first place, and then all of a sudden the boat decides to crash, with everybody getting injured.
Well, yeah, the injuries really hurt the Mets. Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure that they were not doing it.
But we had a
for years,
4-game lead on the Braves. We had a 4-game lead.
Oh, yeah, the Phillies were in first place for a while too. But you could look at that run differential and see, I felt like you could see that over 162, the Braves were pretty clearly the best team in that division.
Exactly. Well, are you making a trip to College Park this weekend?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And driving, we drove, a bunch of us drove out to Ohio State. So
that's cool.
It's a 3:30 start. So it's going to be a long, long day till we get home. But yeah, I'll be there. I like that stadium. I've always liked that stadium. I think that's a nice place to watch a game. It's half the size of Penn State Stadium.
Right.
Seats like 51,000. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, my advice is leave a little bit earlier because 95 going south around 495. Sometimes people like to play park cars.
I know.
Yeah.
I remember one time I was driving home from somewhere completely different, and I got caught up there when Maryland was pretty good, and they were playing Florida State on a Saturday night. And man, I got caught in the middle of that, and it was rough. This is sort of like traffic talk radio we're doing tonight, Chris.
Hey, you and I have fun talking about different things.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Give us anything. We can chew on it. Yeah.
We might talk about food next week, probably.
I can do it.
Yeah, we can do that. Well, Mike, it's a pleasure to have you on, and have a safe trip to College Park. And I hope to see you next Saturday if the weather is great for me and good for you guys.
Yeah, let's hope. All right. Thanks, Chris. Good to be with you, man.
Talk to you soon.
See you later.
Later. All right, that's our good friend Mike Gross, who was always available for us here on the program. Well, folks, thanks for joining us tonight. I'm going to hit the road and get some dinner. Yeah, it's okay to leave at 8:30, everybody. It's okay. So we'll see you all next week on Tuesday night. Let me bring up what we're doing on Tuesday. Next Tuesday here on the program, we will play. We'll preview Canes Knowles. Miami taking on Florida State. That's always a great adventure next Tuesday night with George Bashir and Steve Zulich, and we might have Ewan McCreef. We don't know, but we'll see. Yeah, we'll see how we do next week here on the program. So now until then, have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next Tuesday at 7:30 here on Herb FM Sports Radio on Speaker.com. In the meantime, let's just let's let you know what we're doing next week.
In the state of Florida, football is king. For decades, a battle has raged between Florida State and Miami to decide which university would claim pigskin supremacy. Their rivalry has produced some of college football's most memorable finishes.
It's up, missed it to the right for the win. He missed it, wide left.
Recently, the victory pendulum has swung back to the side of the Canes, who've taken 4 straight from the Knowles, including a victory earlier this season. Tonight marks the final meeting between these football superpowers before they become ACC conference mates.